Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Yeah.
All right, so today we are going to dive deep into some pretty spicy stuff. We're going to talk about Charlie Kirk, the CEO of Turning Point USA, a prominent figure in conservative politics. And, well, we have an article here from the Daily Beast, hot off the presses. It was just published yesterday, October 24th, 2024, titled, Charlie Kirk Raves, That Dems Believe Everything God Hates at Trump Rally. So let's just get right into this.
Sounds fascinating.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts and comments down below.
Absolutely. Engagement is key.
Okay, so the article kicks off with Kirk speaking at this Trump rally in Georgia, and he makes this pretty, bold statement calling on pastors to preach against Democrats, basically saying they stand for everything that's against God.
It is pretty strong rhetoric.
It is. It's definitely meant to get a reaction.
Yeah, and it seems like it's working because the article goes on to say that he actually told these pastors, like, straight up, tell your congregations how to biblically vote.
Yeah. Biblically vote. That's an interesting phrase.
It is.
Isn't there like some kind of rule, though, about churches getting too involved in politics?
Right, you're hitting on something important. Churches in the U.S., they have this tax-exempt status, right? And to keep that status, they can't really, actively campaign for a specific candidate or party. It gets tricky.
So, like, where's the line there? I mean, saying Democrats are against God, that sounds pretty close to endorsing the other side, doesn't it?
Well, that's the debate, right? And this is where Kirk's statement, this is where it kind of gets interesting because it ties into this bigger conversation about Christian nationalism.
Okay, Christian nationalism, that's a term we hear thrown around a lot these days.
It is, and it's a bit complex, but basically it's this idea that being American and being Christian are kind of inseparable, like they're deeply intertwined. And it's an idea that has been gaining, a lot of traction in American politics, particularly on the right.
So how does Kirk's rhetoric, this whole Democrats are against God thing, how does that fit into this idea of Christian nationalism?
Well, you could argue he's basically implying that to be a good Christian, you have to vote a certain way. Like, if you're truly faithful, you can't possibly support the Democrats. It's like using faith as a political tool,
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's like, it's not just about political differences anymore. It's about, like, right and wrong on a moral, even spiritual level.
Exactly. It's pretty powerful, especially if you're hearing this message from someone you trust, like your pastor.
And, it's not like Kirk shies away from controversy.
Oh, no, not at all.
I mean, the article mentions a bunch of his other interesting comments he's made. Like, remember that whole thing about him wanting televised executions?
Yeah, I remember that. That definitely raised some eyebrows.
It did. And it's not just liberals who are criticizing him. Like, the article even quotes some Trump supporters who are worried about his approach. They're calling him, like, someone trying to raise a new generation of Hitler youth, which is pretty intense.
Yeah, it's a pretty strong comparison. It really shows that even within the Republican Party, there are concerns about the direction Kirk is taking things.
But, whether you agree with him or not, you can't deny he's a pretty influential figure, especially among younger conservatives. I mean, his organization, Turning Point USA, they're really good at mobilizing young voters. They've got this huge operation going on.
Oh, yeah, they're not messing around. In fact, the article mentions they have a massive, like, $108 million budget, and a good chunk of that is going towards something they call a ballot chasing initiative.
Ballot chasing. That sounds kind of, I don't know, shady. What exactly is that?
It's not necessarily shady, but it's definitely strategic. It basically means they're pouring resources into getting specific groups of people to vote. In this case, it seems like they're targeting Republicans who don't usually vote, those low turnout voters in battleground states.
Uh-huh. So on one hand, he's telling pastors to tell their congregations how to vote. And on the other hand, he's leading this organization that's trying to, like, sway voters in key states. Seems a little, I don't know, contradictory.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. It definitely raises some questions about the overall strategy at play here.
For sure. And what's even more, I don't know, ironic is that Kirk has been super vocal about pushing back against all these accusations that Trump is, a Hitler-loving fascist.
Yeah.
But then you look at his own approach, and some people are saying they see some, like, authoritarian tendencies there.
It's true. The way he frames things, like this whole spiritual battle against Democrats, it definitely leans into that us versus them mentality. And when you combine that with, the tactics of Turning Point USA, it does make you wonder.
It does. It's complicated stuff. And it makes you think about, the future of the Republican Party, What direction are they heading in?
Absolutely. Is this kind of rhetoric becoming more mainstream within the party, or is it something that's more specific to figures like Kirk?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And I think it is something worth thinking about as we wrap up this deep dive. We've covered a lot today, but we want to leave you with this. Does Charlie Kirk represent a growing trend within the Republican Party, or is he an outlier?
Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
Yeah, we'd love to hear what you think. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives. We'll be back soon with another episode breaking down more hot topics.
See you then.
See you next time.